Make no mistake. It's love that brought you here today. We've all come together in love and thanksgiving for the life of Brady Lee Curry, to share our grief as family and neighbors and friends, to comfort one another in our loss, and to receive the embrace of God's loving comfort for ourselves. And we meet this morning in hope. We tell this morning, death, be not proud. You do not have the last word. So today, let us face death without fear. For we know that life is eternal and love is immortal. And death is just somewhere past that horizon. It's nothing more than just Brady, just a little further down the journey than we are, just out of sight, just past the tree line. It's good we're here together. Let us pray. Spirit of love, who dreamed each and every one of us into existence well before the beginning of time, we thank you for the gift of Brady Curry, the gift of him into our lives. O Spirit, who joyfully brought us all to birth, in whose arms we will be held tenderly at death. Right now we need your peace. We need your comfort. We need your solace in our sadness. So embrace us in that compassion that only you hold. Give us that peace in our pain that only you can offer. And give us that grace. Fill us, oh God, with that grace to take another step when our grief just feels too heavy to bear. And look upon all the dear ones gathered here today because of their love for Brady. Look upon them all in mercy. And give us all the courage for whatever tomorrow may bring. Amen.
Amen.
I'd like to share some readings that the family has asked that I share with you this morning. This is one that Rhonda sent me. God looked around his garden and found an empty space. Then he looked down upon this earth and saw your tired face and lifted you to rest. God's garden must be beautiful. He only takes the best. And then this is a quote that I'd like to share with you that I adapted after meeting Brady. I told you that I was going to read this. Yeah. I saw it somewhere up in New England on a statue. I can't tell you what statue it was or who said it, but after meeting him, it reminded me of him, and I had saved it years ago, and I thought I will use this one day, and this day has arrived. The measure of a man is not determined by the show of outward strength, or the volume of his voice, or the thunder of his action. It is seen rather in terms of the strength of his commitments, the genuineness of his relationships, the sincerity of his individual purpose, the quiet courage of his convictions, his capacity to suffer, and his willingness to always continue to learn and grow. One of my favorite writers is Rabbi Harold Kushner. He wrote a beautiful little book called Living a Life That Matters. Rabbi Kushner had this notion that everyone wants to matter. We want to matter to someone, don't we? We want our lives to matter. Most of all, we want to make sure that we went through this life and that we went through it and we were noticed. That we were remembered after our deaths. The fact that we lived mattered. And what does it mean to live a life that matters? Well, Rabbi Kushner, like myself, we've come to suspect that living a life that matters has nothing to do with money or possessions, or power or good looks, or having all the right answers or making all the right moves. He's come to believe, like I have, that living a life that matters might boil down to this: doing the work that you've been given to do with passion and commitment. Loving the people that God has given you to love with forgiveness and a healthy dose of good humor. Creating and working and playing because you dare not hide your delight in creation. And finally, persevering on your earthly journey with grace and courage, despite the challenges and the foes you may face. You know, as I sat next to Brady that very first day that I visited the house and spoke with him and the family, I kind of came to realize pretty rapidly what all of you gathered here already know. He lived a life that mattered. May I suggest to you that being a provider for your family, a contractor, a master jeweler, a good friend and neighbor, a devoted husband and peepaw, that all of these things are sacred callings. And they have to be fulfilled with great love. In all these roles, Brady knew how to confidently guide and protect those for whom he was responsible. He knew how to inspire and teach them and encourage them and support those that kind of needed a little gentle nudge in the caboose in the right direction. You know who you are. And how to fearlessly stand his ground on his convictions. And how to stand his ground for the people and causes that he knew mattered to him. You see, what really mattered to him were other people. His family, his friends, his co-workers, his neighbors, and especially his beloved wife. What really mattered was that he gave his whole heart to them. And he attended to their hearts as well. So even more than his skills, which were many and diverse, more than his training in so many different areas, more than his life experiences, which were abundant, Brady knew that it was his heart that mattered most to other people. You know, the philosopher Martin Buber once said that God is found in relationships, not just in people, but between people, in relationships. And where God is, love is. And Brady Curry loved well and was well loved. But I will tell you from firsthand experience, I'm not making this up, that Brady did not suffer fools lightly. When I first visited at Rhonda's encouragement, she was thinking that Brady might welcome a chaplain visit as well. Walking into their living room, he was seated in his chair like a king, And he gave me a long sideways look. You know what I'm talking about. As I sat next to him. And straight away, before I even opened my mouth, he told me that he didn't cotton to preacher types with their canned religion and their, canned answers. And I replied, neither do I. Continuing to stare at me, he kind of narrowed his eyes and set his jaw as if to say, well, we'll see about you. We'll just see. Though he made clear to me that my visit was not for him, he respected his wife's faith. Still, he didn't waste time. He had his priorities, and exchanging niceties with the minister was not at the top of his to-do list. He told me on his timetable and on his terms. He told not just me, but God as well. And as I spoke to him and his wife and family members, you remember that day he floated in and out of the room, he offered a running commentary, mildly gruff, lightly sarcastic,